Good homemade pizza begins with a good dough. A good dough is very simple to make if you have water, sugar, yeast, and flour. Start with 1 cup of water, just tap water, at about 110 to 115 degrees. It's usually a good idea to take the temperature of the water. If not, just imagine a fairly hot bathtub of water. Not so hot you can't stand it, but fairly warm. That'll get you to about 115 degrees. To that, add 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. And a package of dry active yeast. That will be about 7 grams, or if you're working with a jar of yeast, about 1.5 teaspoons. Whisk these 3 things together. And we're going to let it rest for 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes, the top of the water yeast mixture will typically have a light fluffy foam. Looks a little bit like meringue. That means everything just went great. At this time, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Stir that into your mixture, and this will be the wet part of the dough. If you do not have a stand mixer, just get a medium bowl. Add 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour. You can use a combination of flours with AP and wheat. All of those combinations, whatever makes you happy, will work. One of our favorites is 2 cups of AP and 1 cup of rye. If you're good at measuring flour, just scoop it all out and shake it out well and shake it in. If not, you can weigh it, and 3 cups of all-purpose flour weighs 12 3/4 ounces. Add the water, yeast, and oil mixture. At first it'll be a slurry. As the flour begins to absorb the water, it'll become a dough. When it's mixed together reasonably well, we're going to pour it out and knead it. Clean, smooth surface. We use this little shaker with AP, all-purpose flour, to give us a smooth working surface for the dough. We're going to work the dough for about 10 minutes. If it feels a little bit too wet, add just a tiny bit of flour. As you're working it, You're getting air worked into the flour, water, yeast mixture. I've been kneading for about 10 minutes now. You'll see that the dough is fairly pliable. It's picked up all the flour that was left on the board. It's not too sticky. She's about perfect. Now we want to do two things here. Nice clean bowl. Spray it with oil. Olive oil, or just wipe a cloth, paper towel with olive oil around it. And we're going to let that rest for 10 minutes. So we'll be back in 10. We've been about 10 minutes now letting the dough rest. It's gotten a bit larger. On really warm days, it'll get quite a bit larger. If you let it sit for about an hour or an hour and a half, it'll almost double in size. We don't need it that much bigger though. We just want to deal with it right here. And we're going to make two doughs, which we will roll into two crusts. It's about the size of a softball. It's extremely soft, stretchy. We'll get a little bit of flour down on our board so we can work it. And we're just stretching it out right now. Get it into that familiar shape. If you'd like to use a rolling pin, that is perfectly acceptable with me. There are those who argue against rolling pins. I am not one of them. We're just roughing out a dough to about 8 inches maybe. This will be a very doughy crust, and it'll be what we might call a thick crust, but not a deep crust. And that's ready to pop on the grill. This has been pre-baked on a grill in our backyard on a cast iron skillet. About 3 minutes on one side, 4 or 5 minutes on the other side. You will see that it is a thick pizza. We could have rolled it out, docked it, a number of options. All of that information is available on the web. For today, we're just looking at something very, very simple. And how simple can a cheese pizza be? It's probably one of the best. So let's just add a little mozzarella, a little cheddar, a little provolone, and that's going to give us a fairly cheesy piece of a very bread-like Here's our finished pizza. Thick, well browned. That was about 5 or 6 minutes on the grill on top of the cast iron skillet. As you can see, that is a thick, doughy pizza. It is excellent with a little bit of olive oil. Serve it with a salad. Makes a great lunch. More on Joy of Pizza.